Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we explore the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, 1 minute at a time. In this, our 5th season, we are looking at Joe Johnston's 2011 film, Captain America, The First Avenger. I'm Andy Nelson from the Next Reel Film Podcast.
And I'm Pete Wright from the State Department.
Today we're talking about Minute 33, which begins with Steve and Peggy sharing a look and ends with the Senator judging Steve for his size. Joining us on the show again today and the rest of the week, Matthew Costello, back again, author of Secret Identity Crisis. Welcome back, Matthew.
Thank you very much. So glad to be here.
This is a fun minute. We're finally getting to kind of do some exploration here in the Rebirth Lab. What were you thinking when you first saw this and you kind of saw this set and everything that they had created for the film?
I actually love this set. I think this lab is absolutely gorgeous. That whole bank of supposed computers or whatever, electronics on the wall, the dials you got to turn, the lost in space tapes going back and forth, the lights, everything. I particularly like the cylinder that they put Steve in. Joe Johnston argued that they specifically wanted to create a set that looked like the 1940s vision of the future. They didn't want it to be futuristic. They wanted it to be 1940s futuristic. And so the set designers were brilliant on this with all those, the colors I believe you've mentioned before, and that sort of sleek roundedness to things that was very common. I thought this was really a very wonderful set. I thought it was a wonderful set.
Very kind of Walt Disney Tomorrowland sort of vibe, where it's kind of like, the future, but, it's not necessarily like the real future, but what it could be. And it has kind of that vibe to it where things just seem futuristic, but from that 40s perspective. I really enjoy that.
Right. It's the future yesterday.
Still think you're going to have a jetpack and cars that fly. Yeah.
Right.
Howard Stark is perfect. Howard Stark is, of course, in the background. If you are looking carefully, I do like how this lab, the way that it's set up is cool. You already talked about a lot of it, but it has like almost like a level around the edges in some of the spots where it's below, like kind of like 3 or 4 steps down for more computers and things. And so there's just so much stuff going on here. Again, hard to pinpoint all of the people that we have here. There are so many people that are just background actors in this scene. The only 2 that are credited, and we'll try to point them out when they pop up. I'm not exactly sure yet, but we have an SSR doctor played by Richard Freeman and the Project Rebirth nurse, Catherine Press. She is, of course, somebody we will be seeing in the next couple minutes. So they're wandering around in the background at this point. But Pete, what did you think when you saw this?
Well, what's interesting about the set is that it's actually, as much as it feels, it's kind of a trick. It's a trompe l'oeil because it feels like it's so perfect for exactly what it is, but it's designed for the camera, not for the lab, because all of the banks of computers and everything are facing away from the central lab protagonist, the capsule right in the middle, right? All the chairs, all the computers are facing the wall. When, you have to imagine they would want to be on the other side facing the capsule. So I don't know. I noticed that this time around that it's never stopped me thinking about it. The best part of this is Peggy Carter for me, because when we get her reaction when they walk in to the lab and he looks at her, Steve looks at her, she looks back at him, and that look is, oh, right, we haven't maybe told you everything about what you're getting into. Like you can tell all the way downstairs, she's not looking at him. She's not making eye contact with him. There's one cut where she's actually looking straight at his head. Otherwise, she's looking at the ground. She's looking up. She is, you feel like authentically now regrets that she feels like she was a part of luring him to something that's going to be, as dangerous as she knows that it is. And now they have, it's not just the artifice of danger. They're looking at the tools, the implements of danger to his person. And I think that's great.
I agree. There are actually 2 moments between Steve and Peggy in this scene that I think are glorious. The first is that eye roll. You're absolutely right. When he looks at her with that, like, oh my God. And she just sort of rolls her eyes like, yeah, we didn't tell you. And right. Off they go. The second is when Erskine looks at him and says, take off your shirt, your tie, and your hat. And the first thing he does is look at her, and then she looks away.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Because he doesn't want to take his clothes off in front of her. He's embarrassed.
Right. So good.
And it's just that little sweetness of it. You wonder, Was that the director? Was it scripted? Or was that just like one of those moments that was just perfect and they just said, yeah, we'll keep that?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's so in character.
What the actors are bringing to it. Yeah. There's so much greatness between the two of them. It is funny. And I'm glad you brought that up, Pete, because it does, as I was watching through all of this, I'm like, how much is Steve aware of what is actually happening? What is a part of this thing? Like, does he have any expectations walking in here of what he's in for? And it's so funny. The look on
his face is like he's looking at the pod, and then he looks at Erskine as if to say, have you seen this thing? This is horrible.
Yeah.
What are you about to do? It's great. It's great.
And that keeps going throughout the next couple of minutes. We get other moments where Steve is just clearly not on the same page here.
Yes.
With the level of what's happening.
I love that. I mean, we talked about this back at the start of the boot camp that they were in, or the training that they were doing as the recruits, and how those clipboards that Peggy was passing out were last will and testaments for everybody. But it does make me wonder, like, after that, once they kind of whittled it down to just Steve being the recruit, what sort of additional paperwork did they end up having to have him do and sign to kind of commit to all this? Because I feel like he is like signed on to a lot of stuff and he just has zero clue as to what is about to happen. It's very funny. But he's eager. He's excited to help. And this is his part. He's not collecting scrap metal like Timmy. He's doing something else.
Nice work, Timmy.
Nice work, Timmy.
I feel like this makes me think of, to bring us to current Marvel, the latest trailer that we has at time of recording. We haven't seen any of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, but the latest trailer, it has, our Professor Hulk saying, "What's the Hulk's greatest friend?" And then he says, "Spandex," and he's holding up giant shorts, and it's a cute, funny moment, and the trailer looks cute and funny. But it made me think about it in this movie, in this moment, because he takes off his hat and his shirt and his tie. But what about his pants? Like, he's about to be huge. There's no way he's going to fit in little Steve's pants. That's a question that, we'll go answered later. But these are magic pants that he's wearing right now.
I was wondering about that. I will certainly talk about it more in the coming minutes, because I have some more questions about the pants and what's going on with that.
The pants should have come off.
Well, I mean, these are the things that you just have to suspend disbelief about. Okay, right? For 60 years now, almost 60 years now, the Hulk has worn a pair of purple trousers every single time he transforms from Bruce Banner into the Hulk.
That's right.
They're always there.
Every single time. They're always purple. They're always there, right? And so you got to get used to it, right?
There's a thing, Matthew. This is your first movie by minute podcast. Is that true? Because what you don't know is these are the kinds of things you have to talk about when you're talking about a movie 1 minute at a time, man. It's all we've got.
But we still suspend our disbelief. We also aren't surprised that they have an incredibly tight-fitting T-shirt for him to put on before he goes out and chases the Nazis down the street.
Exactly true.
And it just happened to be one size too small for him.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
We did not plan accordingly.
Going back to Steve though, and his lack of understanding as to what's actually about to happen. I love the way that Evans plays him here, because like he doesn't say anything. Like Erskine keeps talking to him and saying good morning and kind of asking him things and talking to him about stuff. And through the whole thing, it's just very one-sided. And Erskine's doing all the talking, and Steve is just looking around. He's just got this look on his face of like shocked disbelief, and I think it plays really well. For the way that he's looking.
Well, the question is, do you ever get the picture that he plays him scared? Because I think that's important. Like, this is a terrifying experience, and I never get I get the sense that he's in shock and awe, but never that he's hesitating at all.
I always get the sense, I don't know if either of you have ever gone in for like a major surgery or anything, but it feels like that sort of look is on his face. Like something big is about to happen. I have no idea what to expect. I'm in it. I'm here for it, but I don't know what to expect. And I just kind of feel like it's that sort of look. Like he's just going with the flow. The people who are in charge are telling him what to do and he's doing it. But he's just kind of like, this is all beyond me.
He may, in fact, be absolutely terrified.
Right.
He may. But he is in a state where there is no reaction. There's just, yeah. Point, I will go. Point, I will go.
Right.
Which is the shock part.
Which goes right back to the alleyway, right? That goes right back to the alleyway. He may have been terrified when he was getting his butt kicked, but there was a stronger emotion on top of that, right? The scales were balanced in order for him to be able to conjure up the pride and patriotism to lead him to get in a fight that he will lose. The same thing here. Yes, it's probably terrifying, but at no point does it look like he's going to leave because he signed on. He's a patriot. This is how he's going to do his duty.
Yeah, it goes back to the conversation we were having the other day about the heart and the core of him. And no matter what, even if he is scared, he is here because it is what he believes is right. Yeah. It is the representation of his opportunity to fight the Nazis and to stop the bullies. And that's what he's here for. So even if he is a little daunted by the immenseness of everything going on in this room, he is going to take the challenge and not back down from it. I love it.
And he trusts the process, I think, right? Yeah. He trusts Peggy. He trusts Erskine. He trusts the colonel, right?
Right.
And so that's part of this as well. I mean, you mentioned this before, right? When we see the Red Skull is in his eyrie, right? He's hidden away from everyone. He's alone. Occasionally, right? Arnim Zola will come in and talk to him, but he's alone. We never see Erskine alone. We never see the colonel, and they're always surrounded by people.
Yeah.
Right? Or there are other people around. And here, this transformation that's about to occur includes a whole team of technicians and doctors and scientists. There's a gallery of politicians and other people watching. There's a whole bunch of strange people upstairs with weapons and timepieces doing whatever they're doing. And so this is a collectivity. It's a democratic process that is producing him as the super soldier, as opposed to the Red Skull, who's simply taking the power from the Tesseract and putting it into weapons that he can then use himself. Right. This is for his own aggrandizement. This is more, right? And his individual terror does not rise beyond the democratic impulse to fight the fascists.
And I mean, Schmidt is also wanting to, my impression is he's wanting to get Erskine back or to take the serum for himself so that he can kind of create his own, in addition to the Tesseract, then he can have his own group of super soldiers.
Right.
So, he really just wants to, rape and pillage with all of the science, and just use everything for more evil. That's his whole plan.
He wants to rape and pillage with all of the science.
Exactly it.
That should go on a shirt.
I kind of love the way that the photographer is treated. It's kind of sad. I mean, the photographer's there obviously to document everything, but he takes the one picture he gets a chance to take of Erskine and Steve and is dismissed, summarily dismissed. Like, no, not now. Get out of here.
But he does allow us to move upstairs.
Yeah, and that's is exactly it. Like, as this conversation continues between Erskine and Steve, you actually can see the photographer, going up the catwalk and walking back up to exit. I'm assuming that he exits and doesn't. I mean, we don't see him go into the observation booth, but we do. We go into the observation booth and we go in with Colonel Phillips as he arrives to talk to the senator. The two of them are here, and politics. We get the little politics conversation between the two of them as to why we're here in Brooklyn. And this kind of goes to that question I had yesterday about, the fact that we're here in the middle of the city. And it is interesting that, obviously, I would think that they would have had this conversation before, but obviously it's for the audience. The fact that, Colonel Phillips had asked for extra funding for those generators, but so many people are asking for money that the senator couldn't give it to him. So, of course, here they are in a secret bunker in the middle of Brooklyn, underneath an antique store, because they need to tap into the city's grid. I think that it just sounds so governmental and political. I love the way all that plays out. What did you two think of their conversation?
I wondered why they didn't go to Texas, where they have a separate grid that they could have used themselves. Right? But no, I mean, it's good. We get that threefold thing. We get the Colonel Phillips complaining about his lack of support. the politician with a standard answer. The senator says, everybody wants something from us right now. By the way, here's this guy from the State Department, Clem something. His name's Clemson, right? Right. And so we are introduced to these three characters up there at the moment. We've got the bureaucrat, the politician, and the military guy, right? All sitting there to watch what's going on. The bureaucrat wants to use this for something more than just, right, publicity, right? He says, right? But we'll see where that goes
right.
In the future. The State Department might have been infiltrated by, communists or something. We don't know.
Well, since we did meet these people, I want to talk about them briefly. Our Senator Brandt, is played by Michael Brandon. Are either of you familiar with Michael Brandon and his work? Because I can certainly try the IMDb game with you on him, but it might be hard. I'm just telling you.
He's a face.
Yeah, he's a character actor, but I couldn't tell you anything that he's been in. I mean, he's not even like a Strother Martin character actor, or I could tell you like 37 films he's been in.
Yeah, not even a bit.
What's funny about him is he actually is from Brooklyn. So I love that his introduction to us in the film is ragging on Brooklyn a little bit. He is in the four projects that IMDb says he is known for is the show Episodes. He's on that, if either of you are familiar with that show.
Okay. Wasn't Episodes like extras? Wasn't Episodes the original extras? Am I thinking of a different
That's the one
thing?
with Matt LeBlanc and...
Yeah.
It's a little different.
I've never watched
a little different.
Yep.
This is his second known for, Captain America, the First Avenger. The third one, Four Flies on Grey Velvet, is a film that he was in that is a Dario Argento film. So interesting that he was in that back in 1971. And last but not least, Gallivant. If either of you are familiar with that TV series, the very short-lived Dan Fogelman musical fantasy show.
Dan Fogelman.
Yeah.
Wow.
So those are his four known for. Not a face, like he is one of those faces. He's like an everyman. He pops up in these things and you see him, and he works great in these sorts of roles as a senator, things like this. Next is, of course, Richard Armitage, who plays, at this point, we're just calling him Fred Clemson. Hello, Fred. Richard Armitage, are you too familiar with Richard? Would you be able to guess his IMDb known fors?
It's going to be short.
Yeah. I think I've only seen him in one film that I would think of.
Well, I can do better than that, but one franchise. Yeah, I mean, he might as well have turned around and introduced himself as Thorin Oakenshield from the State Department, because that's all I get from him. And so the extent of my IMDb game with him will be the Hobbit movies. I can't even Unexpected Journey, Smaug, and Five Armies. That's it.
That would be the place I know him from.
That would be a great place to start, because yes, all three of those are in his known for. Of course they are.
IMDb agrees.
IMDb agrees. He also was in the film Into the Storm, which
the tornado movie.
Yeah, right, exactly. Very vaguely remember that as something that had been out there.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't good.
But he was in like Ocean's 8. He popped up in that. He was in The Lodge, which was a great little horror film. I don't know if either of you listened, but he actually plays Logan in the Wolverine podcast, and he did a great job as Logan.
No kidding. Oh, he's great in that.
I really enjoyed him in that. And he was in a really fun, I want to say it was a Korean film, Space Sweepers. That was a Netflix movie where they're kind of people who collect junk and everything. And he was in that. That was a fun little movie that's worth checking out. So yeah, Richard Armitage is here from the State Department to check in and make sure that all of this isn't just used for headlines. Great little dig that he has there on the senator. Also in the background, you do see he's actually talking to Michael Brandon, who is playing he's talking to Martin Sherman, who is playing Brandt's aide, and we'll have a little bit more of him later in the film. So that's kind of the group up here, plus a bunch of other people who look official. It's kind of the place for official people to hang out and see what's going on.
And shun photographers who have been escorted out.
And make digs on the people down below, as we get at the end. The senator throws a little shade at Steve, this scrawny kid down in the bottom. Does it seem weird, though, that the senator seems so clueless as to what's going on? Do you feel like the senator would have a better sense as to why he's in Brooklyn and who this kid is?
Not at all. That feels totally
It probably
on-brand to
explains
me.
why he was unwilling to authorize money for more generators.
Yeah, right.
He has no idea what's going on
No
here.
idea.
So really, it's Brandt's aide in the background who's the one who actually knows everything that's going on and is the one who's just kind of like, saying this. I can tell the senator this, but not this. Okay, I can see that. Aides are the ones who generally are the ones who have a clue as to what's happening. All right, I don't have anything else for this minute. Do either of you?
I'm good.
I'm good. I just the one thing I like about this minute is our the sort of the futurism of the set,
Yeah,
and that little deepening of the Peggy Steve moment that comes through. But it's really transition in a lot of ways.
right.
It hurts me that I have to let go of my staunch position on Peggy's feelings toward Steve, but I feel like that ship is officially sailed.
I don't know. I'm going to have this conversation with you again in a few days, maybe next week, because I'm curious. Would her feelings still grow, and would she fall for him had he come out of all of this and been the superhero that we all wanted, but still had Leander Dini's body? That's
Okay.
the question.
I'll have to really prepare my my op prep for that discussion.
I'm just like, how much
All right.
does that chest that she seems so fascinated with, draw her in?
Oh yeah, we'll have to get into that.
We'll have to save that for later.
Outstanding.
All right,
Outstanding.
Yeah, it would change the whole dancing dynamic.
Totally.
it definitely would.
Totally.
Matthew, remind everyone again where they can find more of what you're working on.
You can find my book at all fine bookstores, remaindered probably, for 25 cents a pound. Secret Identity Crisis: The Unmasking of Cold War America. Comic books: The Unmasking of Cold War America. If you want to learn more about Captain America and Iron Man from the 1960s onward.
Have you recorded the audiobook of it though?
I have not, although I just recently noticed that somebody has PDF'd it and put it up on
Oh no! Oh no! Therefore,
So-
Matthew Costello's Venmo is.
So, you don't have to buy it. It's free out there now.
Oh.
Somebody posted it for free.
Oh,
So
these people.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, please go and support him by picking up your own
go
copy.
get the stinkiest. Come on. You know better,
Oh,
people.
internet.
Internet.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow for minute 34. Until next time, true believers.
Somebody get me a sandwich. Marvel Movie Minute is a production of True Story FM. Engineering by Andy Nelson. This season's music is Spread the News by Anthony Vega, and this season's show art is by Winston Yabo. Find the show at truestory.fm, and if your podcast app allows ratings and reviews, consider doing that for this show.